Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Welcome Married at First Sight fans. We are doing the final review for the Boston season 14 of Married at First Sight. This is for the Where Are They Now? So honestly, I don't feel like there was a lot going on in this episode, so we might make this a quick review. We'll see. My focal point, and I think, what I like to bring out in my reviews is I like to focus on lessons. What's the learning in every situation? I just got done watching the episode not too long ago, so I got my notes fresh here and available. Ooh, that's bright. Let's turn that brightness down so it's not burning my eyes. I got my notes, and so I might look to them from time to time to reference them. If you guys have not yet, make sure you go ahead and check out my Heal, Feel, Reveal series, which is about doing your inner work, doing your outer work, bringing them together, creating a powerful, beautiful life for yourself. Check out my Monday motivational videos. They're shorter snippets of life advice. And then I started a new series called Healing Relationships, which I am so excited to be doing because, I think that's the one thing, especially women, it's like a huge focal point of our lives is how people impact us and how we impact people. But relationships are so there's so much to learn from them. I think that this series is going to be so powerful in terms of helping me to reveal certain things about my truths and giving you insight into yours as well. We're going to start with Noi and Steve first. I feel like they probably have the least going on in this episode, and we're going to end on this sweet note with Katina and Elijah Wan. So make sure you like, subscribe to support the channel, and comment down below and let me know how you felt about this entire season. This is the final episode, guys. We are done with the Boston cast. We are ready to move on to San Diego, and I will be back in July to review that season. So make sure you hit that bell notification so you are ready and available for my insights into the next season. All right, so it's a party. We're celebrating. The Boston cast has finally completed their journey with Married at First Sight. I felt like for the most part, they ended on a really positive, sweet note, in spite of a couple of sour notes, which is Lindsey and Alyssa. So we'll get into talking about that. So let's start with Noi and Steve. So Noi and Steve are renovating their house. They're Steve's home together, and they are becoming comfortable with her moving into his place. I like that. Steve seems to always go the extra mile to make sure she's comfortable, to make sure she feels like she has an important place in his life. And I feel like he's just such a gentleman. So there really is nothing to say. I think Noi is going with the moves. It's so weird. I wanted to do kind of a read for every one of the couples, every person energetically. For some reason, Noi for me has kind of faded quietly. Like she's just been very quiet in the background. She doesn't seem super excited. She doesn't seem super worried. Like, I don't know, somewhere in the neutral space. So I think that's a positive. I think she's moving forward, looking forward to her future with her husband. And I think things are working out for the most part. She seems just quiet. So moving on to the scene where they're watching the kids. So Steve decides to volunteer him and Noi to watch over his brother's kids, right? The three kids. That way him and Noi could get an actual feeling for what it would be like to have three kids, because that was always like it created a little bit of contention between their relationship is, can we actually handle three kids? Because it's a lot of work, right? And they took care of the three kids, and she said at the end of it that she was probably willing to compromise with less. So, hey, I think that's a really great way to get some insight into knowing whether you can handle a lot of kids or not, is just take care of them. I know after watching 14 kids in one room, it can be a lot. So a lot of kids is a lot of kids. The read I also got for Steve is that he's settling into marriage life. He seems like he is comfortable and feels somewhat secure in his relationship and wants to put in the work and the commitment to see it out, to see it last for a lifetime. I'm really proud of Noi and Steve taking the risk of, it is a risk. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't recommend it, but I get really happy when I see couples make it out in the end, because you just want to see happy endings, right? You want to see people get their happy ending. You want to see people thrive. You want to see people fall in love. So it feels good to see people in successful relationships. And I think Steve and Noi are a really good example of two people who just fit really well together. So let us move on to our next couple. Let's just talk about Chris and Alyssa, just kind of get them out of the way. Chris is in this place where he's somewhat more open in his life. He is connecting with Olivia from, I think, a couple of seasons ago, who was with Brett and was terrible to her. Her and Chris, to me, they feel like, energetically, honestly, they feel the same, almost too similar. Like, there's almost not enough complementary contrast, I feel like, to create the spark or the attraction. They seem stable, calm, centered people. I wonder if there's enough polarity between the two of them to create that attraction. I don't know if it's just Chris. So I'm kind of getting the vibe. He's very formal. I haven't really seen him in relationships because, you know, with Alyssa, that was very short and to the point. But honestly, it seemed like he was more attracted to her immediately than he was in that date with Olivia. It felt like two friends having a dinner date. You never know. They might create that spark at some point. Happy to see that Chris is somewhat open, but I'm not really getting the vibe that he's really, really open. His energy seems somewhat low, just not really enthused. He didn't seem enthused or really excited or vibrant. You can just feel that energy from people. They just give off a vibrant energy. And you're like, oh, hey, what are you doing? Honestly, Mark to me felt much more vibrant than Chris. And Mark also felt more vibrant than Lindsey, who says she's living this best life. Mark seems like he looks free. What I've noticed with Alyssa is that she is really great with women, terrible with men, terrible with men. So I'm noticing now she has some control issues, self-sabotage, and a fear of love, a fear of intimacy. I'm starting to pick up on that because she tears these men apart, kind of like Lindsey. She has this self-sabotage mode where she just tears these men apart. Now, who am I referring to? She decides to go look for her cowboy. She reaches out to Ryan. She finds out Ryan has done a couple of Instagram videos with Lindsey. She doesn't like Lindsey. She's like, hey, you should choose my side. She's known this man for 5 seconds, and she's telling him that he should be doing this and that and that. I mean, first of all, even if you were with someone, which she isn't, she barely knows him. If you were with someone and you didn't like certain things, there's a way to go about it with grace. Very controlling. Very controlling. That's all I'm going to say. She apologized to Chris. They had that talk. She did seem sincere. And Chris bringing Olivia to the get-together, I don't know, maybe that was for the camera, for TV. It was just meh to me. Overall, I'm looking forward to him moving on. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I'm just getting that vibe. Like 6 months, a year, he'll be in that place where he's finally ready to pick up. Now feels too soon. Even after the 6 months reunion, it just feels too soon. Even though I said he wasn't rejected and he shouldn't feel rejected, I'm just getting the sense that it drained him. That experience drained him and it put a damper on his ego. You know, we all have an ego. There's nothing wrong with ego. When someone rejects you, it doesn't feel good. How you deal with it is what determines how successful you are. The Chris at the beginning, who seemed so hopeful about finding his match, to the Chris who went through that experience with Alyssa, he just seems like he's been beaten up a little bit and sad. That's what I'm feeling from him. I'm hoping the best for him, but I'm just getting that energy from him. I thought it was hilarious that Alyssa was having a conversation with her friend, and she said that it's her time to be a good person. She was even wearing that sweatshirt, which looked really cute. Girl, I think you should sell it. If you're selling that, you should sell that thing because I think it will sell out. It was actually really cute. I'm a good person. I'm also wondering, for real this time, are you going to be a good person? Because that scene with Ryan, to me, shows me that you haven't learned the lesson. She has a mean streak, and she has this tendency to feel like she has to punish men specifically. Great with women. Great with women. Of course, Lindsey doesn't like her, and maybe Lindsey doesn't like her because she has all that masculine energy. Who knows? Maybe it's just like masculine energy she kind of malfunctions around. I don't know. There's something there. But the thing about Alyssa, we don't know enough about her to explain or understand what it is. Like, what was it? Why is she like that? Why is she acting like that? I have no idea. because I don't know enough about her. Let us go ahead and move on to Michael and Jasmina. There really is nothing much to say. Now, Michael obviously seemed jilted by love. He seemed very jilted when he was having the conversation with Elijah and Jepti, with the men. He's just like, oh, she was going out of her way to make me look bad. That might be how you felt, but that also might be how she felt. She maybe just felt like you just didn't do enough. And my thing is, Jasmina called it out. You're not a good communicator. You're not a good communicator. In spite of what she says, speak up for yourself. Share your side. Because when you speak your truth and you feel like, okay, let me just say my piece, you can put it to rest. And even the men were picking that up. They're like, don't you just want to talk to her? Don't you just want to get it out? I talked about the inner child before. I've talked about in my Monday motivation video where I talk about journaling. When you feel like you're not heard, journal, because it gives you a way to make peace with your inner child, to acknowledge that you haven't felt heard. And when you're writing the words down, you're looking at the words, you're feeling like, wow, I can finally get it out. I can finally get it out, and at least I'm hearing me. And because I'm hearing me, that feels good. And then when you start talking to people and having honest conversations about how you really feel about something, that feels really good too. So you have to practice that. My advice, if you ever feel like you're in this place where you can't speak up and you're really frustrated with your communication with your spouse, stop, pause, breathe, meditate on what you want to say, think, and deliver. Don't suppress it, because you'll start to project and you'll start to say, hey, you're making me suppress my feelings. You're making me da 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 da. You got free will. You can speak up when you want to. Even if someone is very dominant, you need to correct and balance that energy by speaking your truth. That's really all there is to say about Michael. For Jasmina, it's a maturity thing. She keeps competing with her spouse. There's something there where I think specifically with men, she feels like she has to compete for some reason. She doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel vulnerable enough to let her walls down and open up to people. She needs to protect herself. In a few years' time, and with maybe some therapy or fully like shining that self-awareness into understanding where she's at and what's going on, I think she'll be able to move past that. But it's going to take a lot of, self-awareness for her to see that, to see her patterns of behavior. All right, moving on to everyone's favorite couple, Mark and Lindsey. So Mark is turning a new leaf. He looks good. He feels good. He's getting a divorce. He still looks afraid of Lindsey. When Lindsey walked in during the get-together, the overnighter weekend that they had, he looked scared for a second. And everyone's just always like, we never know what we're going to expect when Lindsey comes in the door. He looks good. He looks like he's understanding his boundaries, and he looks like he's moving towards a new life. I'm excited to see that he attracted a date, and this lovely woman is giving him insight into what he can have in the future. The date he had with Steve's sister's friend, she was really cute, very bubbly, very talkative, made him feel comfortable. So that's great. I mean, that's a really good bounce back. I'm like, if you feel like you experienced some kind of trauma in your relationship, I think it is good to try to date just for fun, to get yourself out of that mindset that, oh my gosh, what if I attract this person into my life again? Just try it out. Try to date people, or try to imagine yourself with someone who's opposite or what you really want. So happy for Mark. He looks good. He's eating better. He's always been very gracious. And see, this is what I love about inner work and what I love about compassion and kindness. That's what Mark has, is he's done a little bit more inner work. He's more compassionate, significantly compassionate than Lindsey. And what that does is it makes a person radiate from the inside out. When you're just kind and you're humble and you know yourself and you're in a healthier place and you mean well to the world, you attract that. And honestly, a person who has that amount of kindness and compassion, they can't align with someone who's that dysfunctional. It's actually going to create a lot of volatility, because that person who's so dysfunctional, what they'll have a tendency to do is hate you for it. And I know it's so crazy, but it's like you know how nice people trigger people who are angry at the world? It's like the same thing. Like, Mark is just a really nice guy. And I think that's part of the reason as to why he triggered her. He's working on his stuff. Now, Lindsey, I'm living my best life. Got a great job. Got a this, da da da, da da. I don't believe it. I'm just not getting that vibe. She doesn't look really happy. She just looks like she's saying things, which is great. You know why it's great? Because of affirmations. Words do help you to generate and manifest what you want. So if you say you're having a good life, eventually it's going to manifest. However, thing with Lindsey, refuses to take accountability, refuses to do her inner work, therefore continues to get locked into this. She just looks a little worn. I'm just reading people. I'm just being honest today in today's video. She looked a little worn. She looked less, I don't know. I think there's something about Mark. She was feeding off of his energy. Oh my gosh. I guess we're going to go there today. She was feeding off of his energy. Even though she was bullying him, she was feeding off of it. And when she doesn't have someone to, even if it's just bullying, even if she's bullying him and she's in a relationship with him, because she wasn't able to feed off of his energy, she didn't have an energy to feed off. And the thing about people, when you're a really negative person and you're alone and you can't feed off of someone else's energy, it's like you dim down. You actually shined brighter when you were next to him because you were feeding off of his energy. Because you felt like he had to, you were trying to control him and make him love you, and you have someone to love. And it's crazy what love and relationships and emotions do to us. But I really got that vibe that Lindsey energy dimmed down because she didn't have anyone else's energy to suck out. I know that sounds so crazy. When she was at the table with her father, having that conversation about the divorce, again, classic Lindsey, no accountability. And he says something. He says, when you say less words, okay, hold on. I'm going to have to go back to my notes because I want to get the exact quote. He said, the less you say, the better off you'll be. I think people are trying to say this to Lindsey all the time. Lindsey, too much. Your words are too much. But it's more than the words, right? It's the energy behind the words. And even without the words, it's the energy. It's angry. It's unhealed. It's teenage angst that needs to be healed from when she didn't feel seen or recognized or loved or special or normal, the thing that she was seeking in her relationship with her family. Later on, though, it's really clear when she's having a conversation with Steve. He tells her that, you did this and this didn't feel good. And she apologizes. She apologizes to him. And I felt like in that moment, it was sincere. This is why I say let people apologize, because I think what she started to notice, and hopefully when she rewatches herself, which she did, I'll go back to the conversation she had with Mark when they finally signed their divorce papers. When she really sees and reviews, I hope she understands this rage vent thing. It's not okay and it's not healthy, and it should be a bright neon sign for you to understand who you should have been doing your healing forever ago. Like, you have a lot of unhealed wounds that need to be looked at and seen and bandaged. I feel Lindsey is starting to see that she is alienating people around her because she's left alone, right? Especially when you're put in this circumstance where you're surrounded by strangers versus choosing your friends, you start to see, whoa, people don't like me because I got issues. Prior to that, after Mark and Lindsey signed their divorce papers officially, she apologized to him. And I loved it because I thought it was very sincere. She said she hadn't intended for it to come off that way, that she was just rage venting. And overall, she was really apologetic for how it impacted him. She had never meant for him to see that. Your words cut. I was talking to some of my students the other day, and I asked them to raise their hand, and I said, how many of you think that words hurt? And pretty much all of them raised their hands. I'm like, words hurt. They can't physically harm you, but they can cause a lot of other invisible damage. When you don't give your kids affirmations or when you bring them down, it really impacts their psyche. And I am willing to bet, and I will give Lindsey this, that her psyche was very impacted by a lot of negativity. Because where else did she learn that behavior? You don't just learn it out of thin air. So I can only imagine, generations after generations, what did her mom or her parents tell her that made her feel that way. So that is it for Lindsey and Mark. I really do hope the best for all of the couples. I hope they all live their best life. Let's go ahead and end on a sweet note with Katina and Elijahwan. What I love about Katina, she looked like she was absolutely glowing. Katina and Elijahwan are the winners of this season. They look like they are thriving. They are happy. They are glowing. The thing that I saw from the beginning is that they had pure intentions. The way that Elijahwan went about it was a mess throughout the season. But in that 8-week period, and watching what happened in that 8-week period shifted how he treated his wife for that remaining 6 months later. So I'm really happy to see that. That's where they were able to experience, I think, the learning between the two of them. Katina, I'm really getting some great inner work energy coming through from her. I feel like she stayed true to her desires. She aligned with her desires. This is why I always say this, align with your desires and don't try to demand so much or nag or complain from your spouse or your person for them to maneuver into them being your ideal of what you desire for them to be. Allow them to learn and fumble, but stay true to your desires. She kept saying, hey, I knew we would make it. I knew we would make it. And that is the power of a woman's prayer. And that's what I think Katina brought to the relationship. Women, you have no idea how powerful you are. Your relationship will sustain if you stay true to your desires. If you say, I deserve to be happy, I deserve to be treated well, and I will make sure to give myself that, give myself those affirmations, treat myself that way, and all my partner can do is either rise up to the occasion or deselect themselves. Elijahwan decided to arise to the occasion. Now, granted, I also think that intimacy, physical intimacy, also played a very important role in bringing the two of them together because there was a 180 shift. So physical intimacy, just a reminder, it's very important in a relationship. That's what makes it a romantic relationship is you get to share that physical intimacy with that partner versus just being their friend. Katina said that she felt like he's her best friend. Yet at the same time, it seems that they've been able to figure that out. And I think the physical combined with the emotional intimacy played a huge part in bringing the two of them together. What I love and what I think showcases that Elijahwan is really in a good place is he was shopping with Mark, looking for clothes for Mark's date. And he was saying, I just really want him to find love the way that I found love. And, Elijahwan was saying a lot of things in the previous season. I feel like when he says it, he actually means it. And he just seems so calm and so chill. Katina too, she looks like she's glowing. She looks relaxed. I'm just so happy for the two of them. So they're the I don't know, I guess the surprise of the end of the season. When the two of them got together, my prediction originally was that you don't know. They looked like the unpredictable couple. And there were some unpredictable moments that unfolded. However, it was, I think, Katina's stability in her beliefs and what she desired for her life that I think allowed him, who, is very stern, he has a very certain fixated idea of what he wants in a relationship, it allowed them to align and compromise. The one, it wasn't really a contention. I think they were just kind of putting it out there for the cameras. The one thing that came up between the two of them is that they're spending a lot of time together. Maybe they need to spend more time apart. Yeah. Yes, you do. You do need to spend time apart because there's just life happening. There's so many things to do, so many things for you as a woman to experience and discover for yourself besides a relationship. And I think women often define themselves by their relationship, but I'm happy to hear that Katina's recognizing, hey, I need to go do me too and figure out how that feels good for me too. But also it just helps to create that desire, that polarity, that attraction again to want to come back to your partner. If you guys spend time apart, a healthy amount of time apart, and you do your own thing and you focus your energy elsewhere. Okay, so that is my review for this official ending of season 14, Boston Married at First Sight. I hope you guys enjoyed this season. Comment down below and celebrate with me how you felt about the ending of the season, and also share with me some reads that you have for the couples, the people, maybe specifically Alyssa and Lindsey. I don't know. Or maybe you're done with that. Maybe you're just ready to move on. Are you guys excited for the next season of San Diego? I'm excited because they're going to San Diego, and this is the first season they've ever done on the West Coast, I think. Could be wrong, but I feel like that's the first season they've done on the West Coast. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm really looking forward to some different personalities and seeing people fall in love again. It's just fun. This is just the one reality TV show that I like to watch. I find it exciting. Thank you guys so much for staying here on this journey with me. Just believe I will keep uploading my other videos. My channel is mainly focused on feminine healing. I totally My channel is mainly focused on feminine healing as well as feminine empowerment. So don't get it wrong, okay? I got fire in me, and feminine empowerment is a very important part of my purpose and what I'm here to share with you guys. Make sure you check out my Heal, Feel, Reveal series, Monday motivational videos, and my new series, Healing Relationships, and who knows what else I'll be starting. Because it's summer, okay? And it's time to have fun. I hope you guys have a wonderful day or evening. Bye.